Get ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. You either make excuses or you choose to level up. What amazing guests living the big ticket life. Woo! Woo! Brandon Brittingham.
Appreciate you having me here today, man.
It's that kind of discernment, that kind of focus, that kind of forward thinking that's so important if you're going to succeed in business today.
Jeff and I are like friends. We're real friends.
We are like And so you unlock fortune and freedom without all the stress that normally comes along with it.
It all comes down to your why. You know, your business, why are you doing it? You know, how is it going to change the world and what's it going to do for your family?
I want you to celebrate your success.
Talk about the struggle. But I promise you, the story is in your struggle.
They'll never be able to say that about me because people only see me working hard at anything that I'm doing whenever they see me.
Focused on your success and the success of those around you.
But being that constant in your community, good or bad, whether things are great in the community, bad in the community, be steady.
Unapologetically do business and life on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. What amazing guests living the big ticket life. And we discuss how they do it and the big ticket methods they use. The things that make your life successful so you do life and business on your terms.
In and of itself, the only limitations that we really have on ourselves is the ones that we allow to be put on ourselves. And most people don't look at it in that perspective.
There's nothing wrong with being humble, but there's also nothing wrong with stepping into your superpower and letting people know who you are.
Get ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. All right. Well, my guest today is a man who constantly picks himself up, pushes himself across his own ever-changing goal lines. He's got goals as a husband, a father, and a leader, and crushes those every day. Meme Lord, $10 million man who once weighed 300 pounds and decided to lose that weight by doing the damn work without pills or fad diets. Drewbie is a leader amongst leaders, and I'm happy to have you on the show today, man. Welcome to the show, Drewbie.
What's going on, Jeff? Appreciate you having me, brother. Excited to be here.
Yeah. Sorry for the sip of water right there, as it was my turn to speak. But
that's all right, man. It's one of those times of year, man. It's allergy season. It's been getting me like crazy, so I understand.
Yeah, doing that gallon of water a day thing. So it's got to like mainline it in, just force it in. So at any rate, man. So welcome to the show. I kind of thought we'd just jump right in. So in our world, well, not our world, your world and the world that I participate in, the world of Apex, the world of Break Free Academy, there's a lot of talk about core values, right? Like, what's your mission you're on? What are your core values you're on? And I really think when people get this right, it transforms what you do as a leader, as a person, as a business. My mission changed the way my customers feel about mattress stores and my retail business that I own. My mission here is help people do life and business on their terms and, stop playing by everybody else's rules. Right. So for you want to rattle off some of what you get down with, core values and mission wise, and then like examples of success that you've seen from that.
I think the best part about core values specifically is that it gives you a simple framework to make decisions from, right? So I think the biggest part that people struggle with in their life is making decisions. Whether are they making a good decision, a bad decision? Is it time to make that decision? And core values give you the building blocks for how you make your decisions. What kind of person are you going to be? What kind of life are you going to live? And ultimately, it's what allows you to fulfill your mission, right? So the mission is kind of what's the goal that I'm trying to achieve. And the core values are the building blocks of what you use to make decisions that allow you to reach that mission. So for me, I've got companies that I'm a part of that have missions. The mission in Apex is to represent what winning looks like at all times. That's our mission.
Yep.
Core values, very similar to what we have in the company that hosts Apex as our flagship, thing. But it's we do the work, we go above and beyond. F your excuses, right? I don't know if this is a family-friendly show, but like we don't
You can
accept
cuss.
excuses. All right, well that's good. I'm just trying to keep it somewhat PC,
Yep.
and then we do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it. We have 4 core values for our company and for our coaching program. And we know that if we just stick to those 4 core values in every decision that we make, it's going to allow us to continue to be successful. And what's nice about it is, as a leader, when we set those examples and live by those core values, it makes it easy for anyone who comes on to be a part of our team to understand what that means and why it's so important to live those core values and to represent that, because our goal is to continue to find success in our own personal lives, because that sets the bar and sets the example for anyone who comes behind us. And in reality, if you can shortcut that process for people, you can give them like microwave directions to success. Core values is a part of it, because again, we know all day long we're making decisions. What are we going to do? Which pant leg am I going to put on first? More importantly, how am I going to treat this client? How am I going to react to this situation when things get off of course, right? There's a lot of decisions you have to make all day long. And so those core values really just make it easy. For me personally, our family has core values that we live by: kindness, generosity, loyalty, respect, right? And those are how we make our decisions in our family life. How are we going to live? How are we going to operate and live out our purpose in our lives? My wife, my son, we all know these things. We focus on them every day. And again, if we want to have successful lives, we know those core values. If we just make every decision based on them, it's going to allow us to fulfill our mission and to inspire others, right? And that's kind of the personal branding of crushing the day. It's like, hey, what are we trying to do? We're trying to crush the day. How do we do it? Living our core values, being kind, showing respect, being loyal to our family and our friends, being generous and abundant thinking, right? That's how we live a successful life. That's what's cool about success, is it's a perspective. Doesn't have to be what everybody else says it has to be. Doesn't have to be Lambos and private jets if that's not something you want. It could just be, hey man, my successful life is I work and I go to my kids' soccer games, and then I spend date nights with my wife, and we go on vacation a couple of times a year. Like, it doesn't have to be what anybody tells you it has to be. It's what you decide you want it to be, but the core values are what allow you to create that success.
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree with that. I was sitting at our recent executives event, and I forget his name. It just went off the top of my head, but I believe he's the gentleman, former SEAL, that's in the Apex Elite program.
Steve Jordan.
Steve. Yeah. So he's, success for him is, I believe I have the right gentleman. Steve's doing a bus, like living in a updated, remodeled school bus. And he was asking me some mattress questions, and I kind of gave him some tips on, here's what you got to think about in that environment, because if you don't, you could have a real mess on your hands. But success for him is not the 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, white picket fence. It may be at one time, it may have been, but right now success is getting that family out on the road, doing the open life thing, right? And like for me, that's one of our goals in our family down the road as well, once our boys are out of school. So yeah, success doesn't have to look like the same cookie cutter thing for everybody. Just as a side note, like you've got in the crew with Break Free, I mean, you've got some guys running around doing production that I know Matt's come through some stuff. He's hitting that success stride again. Jafar just like straight up put success on somebody in 22 seconds and TKO'd them in a cage match, which is pretty incredible, right? So, I mean, the whole organization lives it. From people you've worked with, when they've got down with getting their mission right, getting their values right, you don't have to necessarily name names. If you want to and they're cool with it, go ahead. But what have you seen there? Like, what's that transformation been like for somebody that was not right with their mission, not right with their values, got right? What's that other side look like?
You know, the great thing about seeing that in real time is we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients that have gone through this process, right? It's a huge part of when you first get into sales and entrepreneurship. Really what you've got to learn is like sales and networking and marketing, right? And you're still kind of getting your feet wet. It's like crawling before you walk. But once you figure that out and you really start doing serious business and you're really getting intentional with transactions and the people you're working with, when you watch people build this mission and these core values in themselves and they really like dial in on it, you can see the shift in how they operate. Instead of being reactionary, they're intentional with their moves. They really think about, again, it's the core value. It's, hey, how am I going to make every decision throughout my day when it comes to waking up and being active in health and my fitness, right? Their core value is to operate with integrity. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to skip the gym. I'm not going to make excuses on not being healthy and fit in my life. And so I've been able to watch people lose massive amounts of weight from, where one gentleman, he has a very similar story to mine, where it's like he was really in shape at one point in his life. Life happens, marriage, kids, business, just in general, right? We put on that comfort weight. It happens. I know I went through it. And he went through the 75.
I like how you call that. I like how you call that comfort weight.
Oh, it's 100% comfort weight. It's comfort and convenience. Hey, why do we eat fast food? Because we don't want to take time to prep and eat. And especially for an entrepreneur, right? Someone living the big ticket life, we're moving, we're shaking. We got a lot of stuff going on. So the thought of, well, I got to go to the grocery store and spend an hour shopping and picking up, and then I got to spend 30 minutes on prep and an hour cooking and then another hour cleaning up. I mean, that's half a day when you think about it like that. My thought is like, all right, well, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in a convenience eat. So I'm going to grab fast food. I'm going to pick up something that's easy. And even the healthier option in fast food is not really a healthy option because we don't portion control. But that's where core values come into play. Hey, my core value is to not overeat. My core value is to be intentional with my diet, whatever. But going back to the success stories, that's what it takes, right? It's, hey, am I living with intention? Am I making the decisions in my life and in my business that move the needle forward? And I've watched people lose weight. I've watched people cut toxic relationships. I've watched people create better relationships with their family. I've watched people make more money than they've ever made in their entire life in 60 days just because they've made a decision to say, hey, I'm not going to operate in any other way except under these core values. Anything that comes in my way, every decision I make, every action I take will be based around living out these core values. And in doing that with hundreds and hundreds of clients, I've seen success in every area: mindset, fitness, business, personal relationships. I could give you 100 different examples, but the point is it comes back to being intentional and making decisions on those core values.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, getting right with them really does guide. I can share 2 examples back to follow up your point, and then we can talk about the meme lord, because I referenced you as the meme lord. So we'll get to that in here in a minute. But, personally, my oldest boy is set to graduate high school. He's done with school. He's ready to get out, live life, be in the workforce. He's in the trades. That's what he wants to do. And he's going to be great at it. And we got to push across the goal line, and he didn't turn in 2 assignments for English. And I was not happy because one of our core values is we always do our best and we always do our work. Whatever happens on the other side of that happens, but to not turn something in, that's just, mom and dad don't lead that way. Right. And once that reminder was given, and it didn't have to be all that stern, but once that reminder was given, it was like, okay, you're right. Let me buckle down and get this done. And, we got it done. And then
Hey man,
other
thank
times
God he's learning from you guys, because I was the opposite. I was like, I never did homework. I never did any of that shit. I was like, man, test day,
yeah,
rock and roll, let's go. But
yeah,
he gets that lesson early on. He won't have to go through the same stuff that I did in my life, because he's established those core values. You guys have had that conversation and said, okay, this is not how we live our life.
right,
And as you've established those barriers and those boundaries and that core value in your family, it's easier to
yep.
have that conversation too. It's like, hey man,
Oh yeah,
is that how we live our life? Is that a core value? No.
right,
Okay.
right.
Then you know
Yeah,
what
so
decision to make.
Yeah, so get right with it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and I think on that point, in that example I shared, what gave him the permission to do that, and we didn't plan to talk about this, but you homeschool your son, right? Is that what I heard?
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, we decided to
Kudos,
homeschool.
kudos to you, because what happens is these teachers, some teachers are very lenient to almost non-existent with time to turn in your homework and take the test. It's just get it. You can make it up. You can make it up. You can make it up. And then all of a sudden they got a whole load of coursework to do the day before final grades are in, right? And that's just not the way we live life, right? I mean, it's just not. That is just not the way life works outside in the real world. And so the point being, when we've got our mission and our core values in place, it says, you know what? No, I don't care what the teacher says. I'm going to get this work in on time at the right time. And even though you're kind of this authority in my life, the values in my house where I live with my parents say otherwise. Now, my boy faltered on that just a touch, but we're not perfect beings either. The kid's only 18, right? So he gets a pass. But yeah, I mean, when you've got this right, you can become impervious to these outside pressures that want to come in on your life and say, it's okay to suck. It's okay. It's okay to do this. No, it's not. Because when you've got this right, A, it may not even get in, but B, once it does, you recognize it as wrong right away.
Well, and we don't have to get too far into the topic of it, but with homeschooling, kudos to my wife. First of all, she's the one that manages it 90% of the time. But
Yep.
we kind of look at the basic model of schooling is very delayed. It's kind of a very slow process. And as you know, in the life that we live in the generation we're in, nothing is slow. Everything is immediate gratification. Everything is now, 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 now. And really, as an entrepreneur, what I know a big lesson in my life was when I took control of my time and my actions during that time, I was able to create the lifestyle that I wanted to live.
Yep.
And with that being said, school is kind of just preparing you for the 9 to 5 lifestyle. It's like, hey, you show up here, you do this, 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 and this all day long, and then you clock out and you get to go home, and then it's a free for all. Well, that's not the life that I live, and that's not the life our family has chosen to pursue. And so with my son and homeschooling, we've really helped him understand, hey, man, these are the things that we have to do every day, right? These are our priorities. We have to do our health and our fitness. We have to do our personal education and our wellness, and we have to do some kind of work or education, right? So
Yep.
for him, it's education. Your job is to learn. Your job is to figure out how to be a good part of this family, how to be a member of this family that helps, whether you're doing your priorities with cleaning up your room and making your bed or getting yourself dressed for the day, eating your breakfast, right? These are all priorities that you have in your life.
Yep.
Education being one of them. If we can help him understand being focused, which he's amazing at, and again, it's my wife 99% of the time. I'm only there sometimes helping, but we live our life by a routine. So, hey man, from this time to this time, you're going to do workbooks, you're going to do some music online, you're going to do a yoga class, you're going to do some fitness stuff. And in 3 hours of focused effort, he can do what it would normally take an 8-hour day
Yep.
over a week, right? Because most schools, it's like a lot of time spent wrangling kids and getting them focused. No, hey, my kid's focused and dialed in. He understands that if he gets everything done in 3 hours, then that means he's got all this extra time to go and live the life that he wants to live, which is
Yep.
exactly what I'm trying to pursue as well. So it really just
Yeah.
comes back to setting that example. And maybe that'll change, right? Maybe we'll put him back in school at some point. But for now, for us, this made the most sense, is to help him understand when you are focused and you do the work that needs to be done first, everything else is a bonus after that.
Yeah. Well, and we'll move on, but later this afternoon when we're recording this, and I don't know that I shared this with you specifically, but we do the live show now, obviously, and then audio comes out a week later. So I always preface timestamp comments with, today we're recording, later on this afternoon I'll be out at my school, because I've been very focused on having more respect for skills and trades and this kind of way to live a life beyond high school. To be an entrepreneur, to be in business, to be additive to the business you work for through your skill, through your career. So we're kicking off to do a camp, a career camp this summer. We got a great superintendent now that I hope can continue to carry that torch and lead this. But, I share what you said. I want to go back to what you said. 3 hours a day, you get it done. You get the education done, and what takes the regular school system 8 hours a day to do. So it begs the question for parents to think about, and this is not a statement, not an urging, and there's your little boy duder. That's awesome. It just begs the question, if with focus, a parent can get done in 3 hours what takes 8 hours, what's happening in that other 5 hours? And is that a net positive for your child? I think that's a question. Each parent's going to answer it differently, and that's perfectly okay. But it's a question you must ask yourself as a parent. And whatever your answer is, it is. I'm not here, and I don't think, Drewbie, you're here to say your way is the way and my way is the way. But I think it's a reality that exists. You've got very smart people like Drewbie and his wife Kayla and his family getting it done, setting up their son for success. What happens in that 5 hours? You got to answer. I would just challenge. So segueing into the next segment, I'm proud of this one. So if our producer, Chris, can bring up Cut Walk Scoop, I think you'll love this, because this is like a meme site I set up for my boys using phone sites, okay, and using memes, which was an education I got from you through your closer memes course. But so this is a site my boys and I put together, and they go around and cut grass. And, I mean, truth be told, I'm going to circle back to that meme in a minute. But truth be told, my oldest boy said to me, he's like, these teachers talk to me, but there's some days I know what they get paid, because you've talked about it to Mom. I make more in a day than these teachers make in a day. Now, that's not every day, but he sees it, right? Mm-hmm. He understands the reality that the world for an entrepreneur is your oyster, man, and you can go make that thing as big as you want. So they put this site on Nextdoor and Facebook, and he gets deals. And he actually just went through a real rough negotiation with somebody that was not being fair to the process, but he worked it out with some guidance from Dad. And so, yeah, this is a site. I show it simply to show you a little meme site that we put together. And they basically wrote the copy. I gave them like a copy survey, and they, in their own words, they said, I want 2 to 5 sentences for each answer. And they wrote it out. And so then I put it together on the site for them.
This is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool. They're cutting a bunch of grass. So they like it. They like earning their own money, and it's great. But anyway, let's talk about memes. So, like, literally, are you going to knuckle up for us and
you want to see them? Let me.
Oh, yeah.
Come into the camera here. It's kind of weird because of this like weird blur.
Yeah. So the tattoo is there. There it is. Beautiful.
That's Meme Lord, right there.
Meme Lord.
Just for you. Damn blur.
Now that's conviction, right? I mean, to wear a T-shirt with your logo is one thing, but like to have your ethos tattooed on the knuckles is another. So you've dialed into memes, and I guess the first question is there ever an environment where memes aren't an answer?
A lot of people would say memes are not appropriate, but my thought is memes are always appropriate, with a caveat that I like to be a good human. So some people see memes and they know how far like raunchy and bad they can get. I look at memes as more of a fun, lighthearted way to communicate. And so to touch on memes, if you really go back and look at it from the beginning of where meme really comes from, it's it comes from like biology and sociology, right? It's a transfer of information. It's kind of going back to Darwinism, right? These guys progressed. So this one thing and this one animal did, another animal saw it and started copying it. And so that animal was able to survive. And then the next animal saw that thing and copied it in its own way and was able to survive. So the transfer of information, that idea transfer, that's really what a meme is.
Mhm.
And over time, what has happened is, like everything, it has kind of shifted and changed to our generation looks at a meme more of a transfer of information in the sense of a picture with words on it or a video with an additional layer of context, right? And so what's beautiful about a meme is when you think about a picture, it speaks 1,000 words. Go back to caveman days, a painting on the wall of a guy chasing a buffalo. That's a transfer of information.
Yeah,
Well,
told the
clearly
story.
these guys hunt, right? So, okay. So that's really what a meme is. And now what I've been able to figure out is how to take social trends, right? What are transfers of information that are being talked about online and in social media? And how can we leverage that to get the attention of the people we're wanting to do business with? Because again, going back to intentionality, when I look at social media, I think of it as a tool. It's a tool for creating relationships. Relationships can lead to a lot of opportunity, whether it's for financial gain or personal gain or just in general fulfillment to help other people, right? That's why we do a podcast like this. That's why you show
Yep.
up and you go out of your way to make time to share value with people because you have that fulfillment from this. There's a reason you do it, right? It's not for nothing. With that being said, memes transfer information and they create a level of relatability. Everybody
Yep.
loves memes, whether it's young kids and the little, high school age people that are laughing and joking with each other, or even getting into the older generation of baby boomers and silly, like people that really didn't like the internet and stuff at first, but now that they're on there, they're on Facebook all day and they're sharing stupid memes and they're laughing with each other. So
Yep.
everybody loves memes. The secret is how you're using them by understanding your client avatar, right? Who are you specifically trying to speak to? And when you know that, then you know how to create a connection on a deeper emotional level, which you and I know when it comes to sales, the know, like, and trust factor is the most important part of creating that rapport and relationship that allows you to move forward with a transaction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's two things I want to follow that up with. One, make them laugh and take their money. That's a book and actually a course, I believe, by Dan Kennedy. Sits downstairs on my shelf that I refer to, and it's perfectly appropriate. And that thing was out 20, maybe 25 years ago, right? The advantage you have with memes today is you can go get an app like Memematic and be producing these things like that. I mean, super intuitive. So yeah, know, like, and trust, and then make them laugh, right? Because that creates that emotional connection. I said I have a story on the meme on my boys' grass cutting site. So that Office Space meme, I put that on for this go round this year, and I forget what I had. Oh, I forget what I had up front, but the opt-ins are through the roof because of that Office Space meme. When you think about it, Office Space is what, a 30, 35-year-old movie at this point?
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Golly, I'm getting old.
Right. I mean, right. I think it was like a 91 or 92.
Yeah.
But, so that's, so for that age group that love that movie, like this is very and that's who's coming to my kids to get grass cut. It's not a starting out homeowner because you're all amped up about cutting your own grass, right? Like you're proud to cut your own grass. Like for me, I haven't cut my grass in 10 years and that's awesome. I mean, I own a bunch of lawnmowers the boys use, but I don't cut my grass because I'm at that age where I'm just not going to do it anymore. So that really related well. And the opt-ins are like way up through the roof. So it's really good. So that's that relatable aspect. So so you sent over a few memes that you love to use. Why don't you share through, and I'll have to make a point of kind of like announcing what they are if anybody picks this up on audio, which by the way is a plug for the Big Ticket Life Show to go to the YouTube channel and watch the episode. Maybe later, watch it on Facebook, subscribe. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry, your first.
That's
meme.
all right. No, man. So it ain't much, but it's honest work. That's the farmer standing out in front of the field. There's a whole
Yep.
backstory to it. If you go to knowyourmeme.com, you can look up the backstory to like every meme, which I think is important to kind of segue just a little bit.
Yep.
Stories are what are relatable, so that's what people connect with. So that's why using the memes to tell stories of relatability is what gets people interested. So like that meme in particular, I love sending to people when they're like, when I go above and beyond, right? That's one of my core values. Hey, I went above and beyond for somebody. I did something that made them like really appreciate what I do. I'll send them that meme because I'm a humble guy. I still understand that even though I'm successful, it comes from a lot of little hard, tedious, stupid things that have to be done over the years consistently. And sometimes taking 30 seconds out of my day to go and send somebody an email or to reset their password instead of responding back, hey, go send a ticket email to support and then do this and do that. And it's like a 48-hour process when I can take 30 seconds of my day. Like, I'm not too good to do that. If I know I can just get it done for you, I'll knock it out and be done. Just like you would do for a client if they had something pop up and you're like, well, I have a team for this, but you know what? I can just do it in 5 minutes. Let me knock it out. That's a go above and beyond thing. So for me, when I do that for people, like, it ain't much. It's just good, wholesome work. That's what we do, right? That's the kind of company you do business with. So that's one of my favorite memes to use in that situation.
And on that note, knowyourmeme.com, great resource. You said memes are great because you take a human approach. So like if somebody's going through a struggle, whatever it might be, just be careful, right? Like understand the context because you might think it's a cool picture and appropriate for the situation, but you send it across and
you got to know your audience.
It's received in a different way.
You got to know. I can't say that I've never not gone sideways on a meme and gotten the opposite of response of what I was looking for. But again, that's why I really think about trying to just be a good person and be wholesome and humble.
Yep. I mean, I've got the shit post folder of memes. Subcode dank, subcode dark. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've got it too. We're both not without humor, and I'm sure we both turn back to our sophomoric humorous days at times. But yeah, I mean, you can shed all that and really work with and have a lot of fun and work with these things. All right, so that was the first one of your favorites. What else we got? Let's bring up the next one. Oh. This is good.
So we got the little cat checking in. I love sending this one. So I do a lot of my conversations through messaging, whether it's email, text, Facebook, Instagram, DM, whatever. And so, people get busy and I don't want to pester people and do like typical copy paste follow like, hey, I just wanted to check in or I wanted to follow up and see, that's kind of boring. So I send this little kitty cat that's poking his head out and saying, hey, just checking in because it's silly. It's fun. It's relatable. I usually try to send it to people like who I've had a conversation with that I know are a little bit on the softer side. If I know they're a contractor or some kind of more alpha male, I probably wouldn't send them this one because it kind of comes across soft. Again, know your audience, right? But if it's, an older lady or someone who I think is going to be a little more gentle, then I'll use something like this to kind of check in and see how they're doing. Because I just want to be relatable. I want to be fun. I want them to know that they're buying from a person, not just a company and a logo.
Yeah, very good. I think we had one more, maybe.
Yes. So I'm glad that it's this one that you had pulled up because this meme in particular is responsible for a large majority of the $10 million in sales I've done in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So this one, if you can't see it, it's a guy poking his head out from behind the bleachers. I think it's the teacher from Glee. I think that was the show. Glee.
Yep, that's it.
Anyway, so he's a curly-headed fella and he's poking his head out behind the lockers, and on the bottom it just says "You good?" ? So this meme in particular, there's actually a GIF version that has like a a view where he kind of pokes his head out and it pops up and says, "You good?" I kind of screenshotted it for when you can't use the GIF version. Either way, it's very successful. But I send this when I've had a conversation with somebody, I've made them a proposal. They've said, "Yeah, I'm ready. Like, send it over." I send that proposal, and then I'll wait somewhere between like 12 and 24 hours. And if I don't have a response, I send this specific meme. And I should have sent you some screenshot testimonials of like how many times it's worked. But again, millions and millions and millions of dollars in transactions, just sending that meme after I send my proposal. And again, people get busy. I work with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs. And so I understand that people live lives and I'm not always a huge priority. However, that meme gets people fired up like nobody believes. And I hope somebody who's listening, who's in sales, goes and finds that meme. Hopefully we can put it up on the website somewhere where they can just quick download it. But send that meme to about 10 or 15 people that have ghosted you or disappeared on your conversation and see how many responses you get. Because
I'll put the memes in the comments of this episode later today.
Nice. That would be awesome because
if that's cool with you.
It's great. Yeah, by all means, I give it away for free. So I have a website where I give away my 10 favorite memes. And that's
what is that?
For sure. Top10closermemes.com.
There you go. Top10closermemes.com.
10closermemes.com. It'll send you my top 10 favorite memes, and then it gives you like a special bundle to buy some stuff from me if you're interested. So, no shame. It is what it is. I like helping people, but the funny thing, man, that meme is just, it works so well. And I've sent it to hundreds of clients. I mean, I've sold over 1,000 copies of my Closer Memes course to people to help them implement. So I know it works. And that's the greatest part, is getting messages from people that are like, I sent that meme and I just made 50 grand. I just did 110. My favorite one though, I had a guy hit me up, a real estate agent. He said, "Hey man, I just want to thank you. I just sent that You Good meme to a guy, and it got me a listing on a home for $1.8 million.
That's
so
big.
Like, if you know real estate, you know the commissions on a $1.8 million listing. It does not suck for a $47 investment into a course, dude.
Now, is that still what Closer Memes is?
$47, man. It's like, it feels wrong to ask people for more money, even though I know it's helped people make thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's made me hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point. But like, hey man, I'm just trying to help people. I think $47 is just enough to make you feel like it's at least worth spending an hour to go through the program. And if you implement it, a bajillion X return for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. There's another one, old Daisy Ridley, just pointing back at someone. Hey, you forgot to respond. Like, I'm just like poking fun and kind of getting people to really think about, hey, this guy's different. But listen, tip about this too, though. The difference is when you send someone a text, everyone gets the little notification and preview and can see like that it's a sales guy trying to hit them up. When you send them an image, it just says so-and-so send an image, and people are curious. So now they want to see what image you sent them because they can't see the preview. And so that's like another little subtle trick of the mind, is they're so curious. They want to know what you sent. So when they see that, and it creates that emotional connection, because they're like, this guy's a dick, but I like him. Let me just tell him, hey, I'm sorry I forgot to respond. Like, my bad. I'll get back with you next week, right? But just that little subtlety, it's huge.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think you don't get to $10 million in sales as you have. And it was very cool to be in the same room as you that day when you crossed that divide, right? When the needle hit 10 million plus. That was cool, right? Just to see that energy and vibe that day last Friday, right?
Yeah.
Or last Thursday. Last
Thursday.
week.
Yeah, last Thursday.
Yeah. I mean, that's very cool. And I don't share that and bring it up to like rub in the face of anybody listening to this. Oh, Drewbie sold 10 million. What's your problem? Because you've heard, here's a guy that's happy to see success in others. Reason you're on the show. You just shared it. $47 course, $1.8 million listing. That's easily like $150 in gross commission, I think, right?
It's a lot.
I mean, and not $150, $150,000. And yes, it gets split. I know realtors, calm down. But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money. And and the value that he provided for that listing, for that person. It's great. So you've sold 10 million. Like, that's not the reason you do it. It's the value you bring, right?
100%. So for me, you know, when I look at 10 million, it's funny because it's one of those like milestone numbers in sales for our industry, right? And every industry is different. Like 10 million to real estate agents is like, oh, I do that in a year. That's nothing. You know, but when I look at that 10 million, I look back at, to do that, I had to have somewhere around 2,500 transactions. So 2,500 different times did I have a conversation with somebody, get to the bottom of the problem that they were having, be empathetic and listen to what they're going through, and then be confident in my ability to deliver on a service or a product that could help them solve that problem. So when I think about, okay, that's 2,500 people, even if some of them were resells, if we want to take it down to 2,000, right? So 2,000 individual people I've had a conversation with that's helped them move forward and solve a problem in their life. Then if you want to look at like the trickle down effect, all right, well, those 2,000 people had at least one conversation with somebody in their life that helped them get better. So the multiplication on like the impact I'm able to leave and my family's able to leave by being the example, that's what I see in a $10 million sales number. I'm like, okay, well, my family got to help 2,000 people live a better life, which means that their families live a better life, and the family of every person that they have a conversation or do business with has a better life. Shit, man, that's way better than any dollar amount that I could look at. Like, my family gets to be a generational impact lever through the example that we leave, and sales is just a byproduct of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the ability to have that impact, and you touched on it, the confidence in what you offer, right? You know, you sell an intangible thing. I mean, really kind of intangible, because short of the books I've bought, outside of the programs I've bought, is there a physical thing that comes in the mail? I don't think there is.
No, what I'm selling you is a promise that, hey man, if you
ether.
come and give me your money and then do all this stuff that I'm going to tell you to do and work hard and change your life, you're going to make more money and be happier. Like, it is the weirdest promise that I have to sell people, but at the same time, it's beautiful because an investment in yourself is something that can't be taken away. They can take a house from you. They can take a car from you. They can, you know, keep you from an asset, a physical, tangible item. They can take that away from you. Finding something inside, that motivation, that drive, that skill set that makes you different than everybody else, that can't ever be taken away. So it's intangible, but it's also forever.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, I said a moment ago, it's ether, right? Because that's when you're not selling a physical product, and not that a physical product is even the answer, because let me tell you, there are tens of millions of physical products on bookshelves across the globe with cellophane wrapping still on them and years of dust on top of them. And some people, certainly not Drewbie, certainly not anybody I've had on my show, certainly not anybody connected to myself and my guests. Some people are perfectly okay with that, and that's actually their whole scheme. I've been in mastermind groups where I've heard people say, well, that's what I do. I don't really care that they use it. I just want to sell it. And, you know, I was in, well, I'm not going to pull any punches. It was in a mastermind group with Dan Kennedy, and Dan booted the person for that. He says, I'm not going to rub elbows. I'm not going to take that person's money. And at the time was 30 grand a year to be a part of that group. He refunded him the money. And the funniest thing is, it wasn't even his money to refund. It was the holding company that was kind of using him as the figurehead. It was their money.
You know, I think though
he just booted them because they weren't right. And he said, listen, as long as your culture has the support to foster the success, and you have the structure to get everyone to success. That is your table stakes. But if your table stakes are, I just want to sell you something that's going to stay in the wrapper and never get used, that's terrible.
It's core
And
values, man. That's what we talked
that's
about. It's
exactly
core
what
values.
it
Hey, what are
is.
your core values? How do you operate? And that's the
Yep.
beautiful part about being an entrepreneur that people forget is you control who you do business with. You
Mhm.
don't have to do business with every person that has a credit card and a pulse. That's a choice you make. It's a choice you make because you're chasing after the money. You want the commission, right? And I understand that because we all go through seasons in our life where we need that. That scarcity mentality runs rampant because of a situation we're in, chosen or unchosen, right? There are a lot of circumstances in life that we don't have control of. However, the majority of individuals do have decisions they're making that could be made differently, which would allow them to take back control of the things that they do have control of and get them to where they want to be. And that's why those core values are so important, because you have a skill set, you have something inside of you, but if you don't make a decision to utilize it, then what? What do we do from there?
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100% agree. 100%. They're with you. So I don't want to, I don't think you're one to dwell on that number. I think you're probably already looking ahead to the next 10 million, right? You're just
Tack another
head
zero
down,
on it and start the race over, man. That's all it
Right.
is right there.
head down, doing the work. As you say, calling the damn leads. I mean, you got the hat on, which I got to get a hat.
Yes, sir.
I kinda
I'll bring
see
you one.
those are out and around.
Yeah, they're floating around. You can get them at the Call the Damn Leads website. You just go to callthedamnleads.com. But
Beautiful.
Jeff, I owe you one. So when you see me next time you're
Well,
in Dallas, come and find me. I
all
got
right.
you, big guy.
All right. I'll take it.
I know you will. You gave me this
but-
cool shirt. Like, it's only fair to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do a little swag trade.
There you go.
Yeah. But so obviously you create a site, callthedamnleads.com, right? What's the need for that? I mean, as I see it, and I'll let you give the answer, I see a lot of salespeople, a lot of business owners have this fear. And I think it's in part because of the selling position they put themselves in. I shared in the pre-show, right? Like a lot of people sell from the position of need where they just have to fulfill what somebody needs, which is really it's, in my opinion, the worst position to be in because it's boiled down to commodity, right? It's a tough existence. You've got want, which is like cars and Rolexes and jewelry and fun stuff. And retailers, merchants, sellers are in that toll gate position, right? The customer's got to work through them. And they work through them with a little more excitement, a little more happiness because they want to be there. That third position, which I love to be in, I mean, I'll hold up another little thing of swag on the screen, less snore, more cuddle. I mean, we're creating a new way to sleep. And we're the only store that can fulfill that need or that want and desire. See, I just tripped up a little bit. But we're creating that desire and we're that category of one. And I think where people struggle with calling the damn leads is they're not in that selling position they really want to be in. So first question, is there fear of calling the leads? And how does somebody shift themselves into a better position of like magnetism and attraction?
Yeah. So, to answer the question, I'll give a little backstory. So the phrase call the damn leads really comes from early on when I started my journey in entrepreneurship. I was a sales guy. And the first thing I learned as a sales guy is like, hey, if I want to make more money, I've got to learn how to find more clients to speak to sell them stuff. And when I say sell them stuff, it's really about serving them, right? Because everything I do is about serving the client and helping them solve a problem. But let's just be frank. It's sales. Sales is sales is sales. But I knew that to make more sales, I had to find more clients. So I learned how to do marketing. I learned how to generate leads online. I learned how to do pay-per-click advertising, building sales.
Oh, there we have the technology glitches that happen doing a live show. We'll give a little pause for Drewbie to come back. I hope you've been enjoying this interview. I mean, I love Drewbie as a leader, as a father, as a husband. He's doing a great job. He's got an amazing book, which I was going to be getting to next, called Crushing the Day, which you definitely need to check out, because in that he lays out this entire roadmap that has brought the success we've been talking about today. So you definitely need to get that. It's on Amazon. We've got it in the links. It's in the show notes as well for this episode, so you can get it there. This path of entrepreneurship, this path of being a business owner is not an easy one. That's why we bring this show. That's why I have these guests on, to show you all the different ways you can succeed, because I don't believe there's any one path in life that's meant to be out there for everybody. So that's why the Big Ticket Life exists, right? Giving you the permission to do life and business on your terms. So having great guests on like Drewbie is a big part of that. Bringing people to the show so you can listen to them, watch them, hear them is real important. So I'm not sure where we might be at with Drewbie. Maybe we lost him, maybe not. We'll kind of wait here a minute. I don't want to have dead space for you either, which is always a rough thing to do. But yeah, on the screen you can see it, Crushing the Day. You can go to Amazon and get that. I believe some of the other websites that Drewbie mentioned, top10closermemes.com for his favorite 10 memes that he'll just give you. Truly, I bought the closer meme course. Great little course, a lot of little tips and tricks, and you can get right in there with it. Go there. Drewbie is the vice president of Break Free Academy, and you can learn more about that. You can go to jointheapex.com. That is where you can get kind of hooked up with all the things that Break Free Academy offers. And just hit Drewbie up in the social channels at Drewbie Rides. He's on Facebook and under Drewbie Wilson. So many different ways to get a hold of him. But just really a great dude, has my full endorsement. And yeah, he's somebody that sold $10 million worth of stuff. And I can guarantee you, legitimately, there's probably not one person that would have something negative to say about him and about their experience with him.
You know, the beautiful thing about life is you focus on technology, and it's a blessing and a curse.
That's right. Well, I was waxing poetic about all things great about Drewbie in the interim there. So
much appreciated,
anyway.
My friend.
Yeah. So do you recall where we left off?
I was telling the story about Call the Damn Leads, and
Yes.
Basically I had started a marketing company, and I was generating a lot of leads for clients, and they were telling me that it wasn't working. And I started asking them, well, what's your process for following up with these leads, right? What are you doing with them?
Follow up.
And they couldn't give me much of an answer. It's like, well, I call them once or twice, and if they don't answer, then it's not a good lead. And I started with my buddy screaming, call the damn leads, guys. Like, ugh. And so as an example, I picked up the list of leads for one of my real estate clients. I called about 50 of them, and I set 10 or 15 appointments for him to go out and sell homes. And I said, don't ever tell me this doesn't work again. Also, I'm going to leave you these listed leads. I'm going to give you your money back, and I'm going to go on and find a different agent in your area to work with. Because this is the problem. People get leads, and then they don't call them, or they call them once or twice, and then they assume that because they didn't get an immediate answer that this person's not interested. Well, the truth is, out of 100 people, only 5% of clients are ready to buy right now. And even then, they still probably are going to take between 5 and 12 touch points before they're ready to move forward. It's a very slim number of people that will pick up the phone after submitting their information to some random internet website and have a conversation and give you thousands of dollars. It happens. I've literally had people where I've had 7 or 8 text messages back and forth, and they've given me $50,000 on their credit card, paid in full, ready to go. But it's because of attraction marketing. It's because of the conversation we had prior to that conversation before we got there. But the point being, if people aren't ready to buy right now, you've got to have a system in place where you stay in contact with them for between 3, 6, 9, maybe indefinite, right? Like I call the leads forever. But I just move them into different stages and processes of how often I follow up and with what kind of content I'm sending them. because ultimately, if you don't continue to stay in front of people, all that money you're spending on marketing, all that energy that you're spending and investing to acquire potential clients is for nothing. If you plant a seed and then you never water it and you never take care of it, how can you expect it to produce fruit? So that's why I tell people you got to call the damn leads.
Right. I'm just making a notes here. I as I said in the pre-show, I cut out segments, so I'm just making a note there. But it's real. And I said, follow up. We don't need no follow up. That's like the Allen Iverson practice quote, right? We don't need no practice. Well, no, you do need practice, and it's important that you follow up. And I think where a lot of folks make mistakes is they build CRMs out and they do these things that they create the ideal client journey and expect every client to follow that journey. And I think you can have a real problem in your business with that, where you just expect every client to follow the perfect journey that you've laid out. And so calling the leads requires that extra work, and you can have that client journey, but you got to be willing to bob and weave. And I know we lost you briefly for a second there. But I mean, love what you're doing with call the damn leads. That's a very, very cool site.
No, I appreciate that. And I apologize for the technical issues. Again, this is life in general, man. Is life always throws curveballs
That's
at
right.
you? But you're absolutely right, man. When it comes to sales and marketing, calling the leads is important, because it's not just about calling them. It's about creating a level of communication, whether that's through social media, through, actual personal in-person conversation, phone, DM, text message, email, doesn't matter. Reach out to your clients or potential clients and have conversations, because you never know when you're going to be in the right place at the right time to help them solve their problem. And ultimately, that's really what sales is about, is helping someone solve their problem. So what are you doing to make sure you're in that position, or that you're top of mind for that individual when it comes to solving the problem that you help people solve?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, you gave an example where you had a 7-8 message exchange and somebody paid you $50,000 to be a part of the program. The reality is they saw at least $50,000 worth of value in all the work you displayed publicly, all the value you gave in, i.e., here's my top 10 memes, here's my book, Crushing the Day. They saw that, and that was a big part of what made that exchange happen, right? Because they saw that value up front. They're like, this isn't a $50,000 black hole. I'm starting at a basis level of 50 grand, and it's only going to go up from there. That's what I believe happens in those moments.
Well, absolutely. And I think it's kind of what you said earlier about the mattress situation, right? I would be 100% positive in saying that you're not the cheapest mattress store in your town. However, what people are coming for isn't the cheapest mattress. They're coming for the highest quality of sleep. And that's the difference in how you approach your conversation from an authority standpoint and from an attraction marketing standpoint is, hey, if you want cheap, those exist, but cheap isn't what creates the results you're asking for. Cheap doesn't get you a great night's sleep that makes you feel recharged and energized so that you can have more cuddles and less snores, right? That's the stuff that fills your cup, the cuddling and the comfort. That's what makes you happy in your bed at night. So that's why you're going to spend, and not even really spend, you're going to invest a few more dollars in yourself. I actually sold furniture at one time. Fun story if you didn't know this. So I've sold a lot of mattresses.
I thought I recalled that, and then I didn't see that in some stuff I looked at before. So I thought I was mistaken, but now that you say it, that's awesome.
I had a few years in the mattress game, my friend, and I always told him, hey, man, well, you're going to spend a third of your life on this thing or more. Why would you cheap out on it? Like, it's a difference of a couple $100 usually. And if you look at over 5 or 10 years, that's like $10 a month to get a better night's sleep. Like, tell me that's not worth it.
Right. Yep. Preaching to the choir, brother. Preaching to the choir.
Hey, I know. That's why I like it. That's why I love it, man, because it's fun.
So as we wrap up, we've talked about your book, Crushing the Day. Obviously, getting to 10 million bucks doesn't just happen. It's very intentional. I was kind of given a little insight about what Crushing the Day is about, but I'd much rather our listeners and watchers hear it from you. And then from that, as we wrap up, a lot of podcasts start with the life story, right? So your different spin, I'd ask you to share with everybody a failure in life and the lesson learned from it, a planned success, and then a success that like happened because you did the work, but what you weren't expecting.
Yeah. So, man, it all kind of ties together. And crushing the day for me is really about when I took control of my time. Time is the one resource we're all given the same amount of, and it's the choices we make and what actions we take in that time that leads to the life we create. And so for me, when I started understanding, hey, I need to crush the day, right? I was listening to a lot of Jim Rohn at the time, and I was getting up early, and I think he said something like, either you run the day or the day runs you. And he's 100% correct, but I had to put my own spin on it, right? That's how we do branding.
Sure.
We take something and we make it our own. So I say, hey, I'm going to crush the day before it crushes me. So what does that mean? It means I'm going to start waking up early. I'm going to work out and get my health in order, because what's the point of making a lot of money if I'm going to have a heart attack and keel over and not get to enjoy it, right? I don't need some other jerk sleeping in my fancy mattress that I ordered from Jeff with my beautiful wife because I was an asshole and didn't take care of myself. So I'm going to get my health and my wellness done. I'm going to knock that out first. And I'm going to focus on gratitude in the morning instead of just looking at my emails and seeing a deal that got canceled, or watching the news and listen to a bunch of somebody was murdered and somebody got robbed and there was a fire and all this negative toxic stuff. Like, I'm just going to eliminate that, and I'm going to focus on my gratitudes and the things that make me happy in the morning, because it's easy to wake up and go down that black hole of negativity, and then it just throws your whole day off. So my thoughts, like, all right, let me get up. Let me listen to some positive stuff. Let me get after it and do the hard work first, because if that's done, I can say, hey, I've won it. I've beat it. I've accomplished my goal for the day on that side of things, and I have the rest of the day to enjoy, versus looking at, man, I got to do all this work and I've got to do this, and then I got to run this errand and that errand. And then at the end of the day, when I'm already tired, I got to go and do a workout. Never going to happen.
Yeah.
So I just build my day accordingly. And with that, my number one failure in my entrepreneurship journey was being selfish with that time and not including my family and my wife in, and thinking, hey, I'm dialed in. I'm building this amazing future for our family. I'm out here working. I'm traveling. I'm going on trips. I'm grinding. Like, why can't you understand and respect what I'm doing for this family? And that was a very, very selfish way to look at life, because my family wasn't in my head. It wasn't in that future life that I was picturing with all this work that I was doing. They were sitting at home by themselves going, why is daddy out trying to close deals when we just want to spend time with him? We don't care about the money. We don't care about this future that he sees. We care about right now and how we feel in this moment.
Yeah, I want to pause on that for a second. And, I know we talked about an hour. I know we're a little over, so I don't know what your deadline is.
I got time for you if you got time for me, brother.
I do. Yeah, we won't go that much longer. But on this note of family, because I say often on the show, family should be the greatest thing you're doing. And our guest last week, Kurt Mercadante, he has a way he talks with other men. He's like, what's the price to buy your wife? And the people get offended. They say, well, I know what the price is. You just haven't realized it in your mind. You've put a price on your family. You've put a price on your wife. For some of you, it's 50 grand. For some of you, it's 200 grand. For some of you, it's 300 grand. And that, where you had shared that lesson in failure was you were in your zone. Family, the life you're building filled that divide of the goal line where your family sat on the other side. And that divide probably had a dollar figure attached to it, I'd imagine. And that's what Kurt means. Like, what's the price to buy your family and buy your wife, buy your spouse? And that hits people between the eyes.
It does. And I think that's the hardest part, because it's such an emotional thing where as a man, you kind of get a little stubborn and egotistical and say, well, like, I've done this. I earned this. This is me, my hard work. And some of that's true. But the people who support you, who hold you up, who bear the brunt of the weight of everything that it takes for you to create that success.
Like applause right now for Kayla doing 90% of the education with your son, right?
Exactly. None of this would be possible
without the support you're talking about.
Yep. And so that's kind of the success too, though, at the same time, is getting an understanding of, hey, my time is valuable. My time is important. And as such, I need to structure my day where it's built around creating the lifestyle that I want, right? What's the big ticket life for me? Well, it's getting up in the morning, having that time to look and having internal growth and success, and then having my day built where I have family time, right? If you want to, let's slice up 24 hours. If I look at it in 24 hours, that gives me 4 6-hour days. Well, shit, I know I'm going to need at least 6 hours of sleep. Like at a minimum, I can run on 6 hours of sleep. And I've been doing that pretty consistently for a couple of years. Do I take naps or sleep in on the weekends sometimes? Yes. But point being, I can take 6 hours of sleep. I can put 6 hours for myself. I can work out. I can do my personal education. I can just do me time, whatever. I can do 6 hours of work. 6 hours focused work, man. If you think about if you just really dialed in for 6 straight hours on some shit, how much can you get done?
Yep.
And then I got 6 hours of family time. Now, balance is bullshit. The scale that's balanced reads 0. Nobody wants to be 0. But if I look at 24 hours and say, hey, well, I got these 4 areas of life that are important to me and are necessities, that means I got 6 hours for each of them. And if I can break up my days to make sure I'm balancing those times intentionally for those areas, I mean, if you look back over the last couple of years of my life actually implementing this theory and process, the success is exponential. But it's being intentional and understanding, hey, this is the amount of time I have, and I'm not getting it back. I can't buy it. I'm not going to win it in a poker tournament. I didn't get a box of it Christmas morning. My birthday ain't going to give me any more time. So I need to be very, very specific
Great way
about
to
how
think
I
about
spend
time.
it.
Yeah, great way to think about time. Not coming in a box.
No. it like ET has a skit, and I love listening to Eric Thomas on YouTube, but he has a skit. He's like, hey man, I ain't never met nobody that's selling time. It's like, hey, you give me 250,000, I can give you an extra 2 years. Matter of fact, put another 500,000 on there, I can throw in good health. Like that doesn't exist.
Right.
I don't care who you are.
Right.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So think about that.
So crushing the day, living intentionally, what was one big success that was planned that you can share?
Honestly, hitting 10 million was planned. It was just a numbers
Awesome.
game. How many conversations do I need to have to serve enough people to solve enough problems that are going to put the needle to that point? Because again, for me, it's just a number. It's a stepping stone, right? I'm just going to put another 0 on the end and start the race over. But it's also a proving point for our company as, hey man, I'm the example. 3 years ago, I started at 0. Nothing, no sales, no nothing. I built
you just
process.
you just 4-minute miled your team.
That's a great analogy, right? Like, hey man, here's what's possible. Nobody had ever done it until I'd done it. I've done more sales for our company than Ryan, the actual founder of the company. I've generated more sales than he has. And it's not to say that I'm better than him. It just means that we've clearly defined our roles and built systems and processes that allow that to be possible. And every day we focus on shortcutting that process. What's one thing we can be a little bit more effective in? What's one thing we can be 1% better at so that we can continue to grow and scale? And more importantly, not just for us personally, because we're very successful. We live great lives. Like, I'm not saying I'm content or happy. I always want more, but like compared to where I was 4 or 5 years ago, my life is beautiful.
Oh yeah.
But
a lot of folks like us wake up blessed every day. We just
100%,
multiply
brother,
those blessings.
100%. But now the real challenge is, how can I get other people to think differently? How can we lead as the example so that people see us and go, well, if they can do it, I can do it. Because I promise you, I'm not any smarter than anybody. I'm not necessarily, any stronger than anybody or better. Like, I just got very intentional with my time and saying, this is the core values I'm going to live and operate by. And as such, those are easy ways to wake up and live my life every single day.
Yeah. Yep. So 10 million was planned success. What's to wrap it up? What was an out of left field success that you didn't necessarily see coming, but we're happy to have happen?
The memes, for sure. The memes.
Oh, nice.
Like, I love memes. My whole life, I've always kind of been on the forefront of meme culture and kind of this weird subversion of it. But knowing that I was able to build a course that has helped thousands of people make hundreds of thousands, probably millions of dollars in commissions at this point, that has been one of the wildest successes I've had, honestly. Like, my family and all that, like, that's kind of planned success, right? It takes a little time, but the meme course blowing up the way that it did and continues to, never would have thought that was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, if we can bring up, as we wrap up here, and I know I've said as we wrap up a couple times, but we're gonna land the airplane here momentarily. So I'll share with you if we can bring up screwedbywolf.com. This is another meme site. I had a lot of fun with this one. So locally, a furniture company named Wolf Furniture went through bankruptcy right as COVID kind of hit. And a lot of people locally were screwed out of deposits in a big, big way. And I had a retail location. I had a door that had closeouts, discontinued, special buys, things like that. And, as a merchant, some truckloads you win and some truckloads you lose. And I mean, I lost on some. So I saw it as an opportunity to say, well, I got some stuff that I can really sacrifice and help our community out. I can't necessarily give it for free, but I can get it to them at a price where they just wouldn't believe. And that's what we did. And we did about 25 grand in sales off of this little site. And it was just all about telling the story about how they got hosed. And we're here to help you. Bring us your receipt. We'll try to understand what you got. We'll show you what's comparable. And I'm gonna do everything I can to get it in your home for a very, very fair price. And in some cases we lost money. In some cases we broke even. Some cases we made money. But boy, it really helped people out. The happiest story of that was a mom had her kids sleeping on the floor, and she gave money for 2 bunk beds so 4 kids could sleep up off the floor.
Fantastic.
So that one we just pretty much gave stuff away because I didn't feel right charging her again, because sleeping on the floor is not good, and it's not good for children.
No, but man, it really comes back to who you are personally and how your company operates and your core value of doing right by the community. And we've had a lot of private conversations off of here, but you care about people. You care about helping. That's why you do this podcast. That's why you were able to do that for that wonderful lady and her family, because you care about helping others find success in their life. And that's why I'm just honored to have been invited to be a part of this, man, even though I kind of messed up the tech side a little bit, but here we are.
That's all right. Hey, we made it through. You could go back about at minute 50 or so and see me sing your praises, but man, it's been a joy to have you on the show. I really appreciate your time you took. Appreciate all you're doing. If you want to let's rattle off how to get a hold of you, your social handles, where to get your book, and then we'll say goodbye.
Absolutely, man. So, Drewbie Wilson, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. If you go to connectwithdrewbie.com, and I know he's putting all this stuff here. So make sure you go to the YouTube channel and watch the video. That way you can see all the cool stuff. But I know Jeff will have the website. So if you go to connectwithdrewbie.com, it's got all my social media handles. It's got a place where you can connect with me if you want to have a conversation or learn more about my story. Crushing the Day is the name of my book. You can find it on Amazon, and it's a quick read. I think most people finish it within an hour and a half. So it's basically just a story of what I've been through, my journey, where 5 years or so ago when I really started pursuing personal development and finding success in myself and being more intentional. It's just a breakdown of all the little lessons I've learned on how to serve, how to be a better version, and how to really live the kind of life that you want to live instead of being stuck in the box that people have put you in your whole life. Because I think that's really what it is the everybody else sets these limits or expectations on us, and we have to find ways to burst out of that. And this book was really just my way of giving those different tactics that I've used to get out of that box a little bit. So,
and I've read it. It's a great book. You definitely ought to buy it. You should go get it.
I appreciate that, man. And more importantly, I think they need to subscribe and listen to shows like this, because this is what ultimately helped me get to where I'm at. I found people that were having success. I listened to a lot of different mentors and people that I thought, hey, here's a guy who's living a life that I want to be live similarly. I want to kind of treat as an example. Not everybody lives great lives. Everybody has their shit, right? But what I love about it is you can learn little things from lots of people and be coachable and use that to mold your own big ticket life and really create success for yourself And all you got to do is listen to guys like Jeff, people who have made that commitment to share the wisdom, because that's what helps all of us become more successful.
Yeah, man. Appreciate those words. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show and for carving out some time while you're away with the family. I do appreciate that very much. And enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you next week on The Big Ticket Life. Take care. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of The Big Ticket Life. You've heard from another amazing guest living their own big ticket life, and now it's time to live yours. First, I'd love for you to take me up on my free gift to you. Claim your gift at gift.thebigticketlife.live. That's gift.thebigticketlife.live. See, all your life you've been told what is and what isn't possible by the loudest voices from the cheapest seats. It's time to finally do life and business on your terms. Sure, you've heard similar things, but without clarity on what can be done, it's easy to have your customers, employees, maybe even partners, and your spouse keep you from truly living a big ticket life. My big ticket methods shift you into that investor seat in your business, away from commodity and away from competition, into a market of one, so you can finally live your own big ticket life. So my gift to you is for you to book your discovery call today, where we'll uncover first the Chivo behaviors, those chief everything officer behaviors that hold you back, and why moving into the investor seat in your own business is critical. 2, we'll uncover the premium position that's up for grabs right now in your market that you're missing out on. And 3, which big ticket methodologies are just waiting to be dropped into your business to explode your sales and profits. So again, thanks for listening to this episode. I'd love for you to take action right now. Accept this gift, book your call, go to gift.thebigticketlife.live. Again, that's gift.thebigticketlife.live.